Isn't it true that your soul purpose or your soul calling has become a hot topic in this world? There was a time when there was little conversations around this, little focus around your purpose, because many people felt like their lives were pre-planned, that there was already a path that they needed to follow, a box that they needed to live from. And maybe you can think about, some of the preconceived notions about the best that a woman could do in different eras in time. There was a time where the woman needed to just be a housewife, or the woman wasn't allowed to go to school, and so she had to focus on other things. And then where for a man there were predefined paths and things that he had the ability to become. And it's interesting because I think about my older clients now who have done all the things that were predefined for them and are wrestling with unfulfillment, because deep down there was something that they desired to become, someone that they desired to become, something that they desired to do that they had turned a blind eye to. So wherever you are on this journey of purpose, I want to invite you to consider 3 things that are cutting you off from your calling in the world. And look, I'm inviting you to have an open mind and open heart as you watch this video, because some of the things that we will talk through, it's not that they're wrong, but that they're limiting you. So let's go ahead and dive into the first belief that you have that's cutting you off from your soul calling. And that is making your purpose externally focused. What do I mean? That is thinking about how you can serve others, where your focus is on the business that you need to run, the things that you need to do for others. And I know some of you are like, what? My purpose is about serving others. And I'd invite you to consider that your purpose first is about serving you. So while it's important for us to consider how we might serve others in the world, what other people might need, that we might fill that need, before we're able to help others, we must first help ourselves. And that's a given with anything in our lives. If you think about being on a plane and something's going awry, they tell you to put your mask on first. If you think about just life as a whole, you can't pour into someone else if you have nothing to pour from. And so many times we find ourselves looking for ways that we can help others out, but we haven't even helped ourselves. And that tips the scale and creates a lack of balance in our lives, and therefore a lack of fulfillment as we are so-called in our purpose. And so when you think about your purpose, I would invite you to ask yourself first, how might I serve me? How might I serve myself? Because in serving yourself, you get to recognize what would be the highest way that you could show up that could then serve others. So it's interesting because I do a soul purpose reading at least once per week, okay? And many times the questions I get asked are like, what job should I be doing? What exactly do I need to be doing in the world? And many times the soul gives an interesting answer, because it's about, for some, what thing would make you the most visible. Because for that specific soul, what's important is being seen, not shying away, being true to him or herself. And so the soul begins to say, when you are seen, when you are comfortable showing up in the world, being authentic, being true to who you are, then what it what is it that you feel the most aligned with? So instead of looking for the thing outside of you to embody, the divine is like, in order to nestle into that soul calling, it's about looking for that which is within and then letting that guide you. So let's go on to number 2. Another thing that's cutting you off from your soul calling or your purpose in the world is this idea that the thing that we feel most comfortable with, or the thing that's making us the most money, that's our purpose, that's our calling in the world. And I'd invite you again to open your heart and mind, because along this path there's so many things that we can feel connected to, that we can feel comfortable with, and they don't even scratch the surface of who we're meant to be and what we can become in this particular lifetime. And so one thing that's important for me and for the clients I work with is we have to clear the gut. And I say that because there are many clients who will come and they're like, yeah, I'm comfortable behind the scenes, I'm comfortable behind the camera. But you're only comfortable behind the camera because of a trauma that you experienced, and that was the adjustment that you made in order to cope with it, and so it feels safe for you. But your calling isn't to hide, isn't to be behind the scenes, it's to be seen. And that can feel nerve-wracking, that can feel outside of who you are, the persona you've created, but it can be the thing that's totally meant for you. You know, this is also why I, as your advisor, really focus in on helping you to connect with your inner knowing, to connect with your divine consciousness, because what's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. Like, just because everyone thinks the purpose is what makes you money, what sustains you in the world. You know how we always say your purpose makes provision for you? The purpose making provision for you isn't always just financial provision. Do you know that you can be living from your purpose, and because you are living from your purpose, you are given like pristine health, and that is the purpose making provision for you. And so this is why it's so important to not overlook or to quickly attach ourselves to something that we say we feel comfortable with or we say we're connected to, without really delving in to see whether or not this thing is aligned with my soul blueprint, that this is the thing that my soul desires of me. This is also reminding me, because there are some people who, and we all know that on this ascension path we go through phases of isolation, and so that can look like leaving a job, or you know, if you are an actor, an actress, you go through this dry period of not having any projects, not having any work, and the list goes on, because isolation is necessary. And the reason isolation happens is to reset that gut, because the gut is the human connection to the soul, right? And so a lot of times we have to reset the gut, clear out the gunk, whether it is symbolically or like literally, clearing out the gunk that has built up there based on life experiences, based on life conditioning, okay? So that you can clearly see who you are meant to be and the experience you desire to call in as the soul, so you can ensure you're aligning with that. There was a time when, I would say maybe it's about 4 years ago, someone had left a comment on my video, and she was like, oh my goodness, as soon as I get myself together, she was like a screenwriter at the time, and she was doing like, you know, little plays and so on, and so she felt like she was a rising star. And she was just like, the moment things really align for me, I'm gonna just bring you on as my spiritual advisor. And honey, I was so triggered by that 4 years ago, because it felt like I was being owned by someone else. And I'm smiling now because 4 years later, it's what I do. It's who I'm being. I'm aligned with certain high profile clients, certain emerging leaders who desire to have a spiritual guide, a spiritual advisor next to them who they trust, and who is also helping them to tap into their own divinity, their own higher consciousness, so that they can properly explore the things that are coming up for them in their world. And so what I'm saying is that the purpose that we have, we must first check in with ourselves and not look for external markers to tell us that we are in purpose. The third thing that's cutting you off from your purpose is this idea that your purpose is one thing. Whew. I know growing up, this idea of being a multi-passioned entrepreneur or having lots of areas that I could speak to or thrive in was frowned upon, right? Because there was this idea that you had to pick one thing. It was just one thing, like this ultimate thing that you are meant to do in the world. And the truth is, I have found that your purpose, the soul calling, the highest expression of you in the world, can shift at any time depending on where you are on your soul journey. Now, you know, when you are in the early stages of your soul experience, what might feel like your soul purpose may be something connected to your south node. Because, and you know, I'm not an astrology buff, some of you are, but it can be what's connected to your south node, because your south node represents what you've mastered in your previous lifetime, skills that you are bringing over from a previous lifetime. And so that can feel comfortable, and that can be in that moment what you're meant to embody. But as your experience of life continues, I want you to see it this way. If we talk about a video game, there are certain levels that you get to, and suddenly certain worlds are available to you. It's like, I didn't know there was a power up there, and because that power up is there, now I can access that tunnel. Like, I can literally get on that tunnel and go in because I've accessed this power up. Now, if I hadn't gotten to that level, the tunnel is still there, but I couldn't unlock it. I couldn't access it. And so that's the thing about your purpose. And you know, there are times when I will get clients who are like, but this is the thing that, you know, I felt led to do, and now I've been doing it for 5 years. How come it just stopped working? How come it just stopped feeling fulfilling? Because you've completed that level, and now something else is available to you. You know, it's interesting because I have some clients, and this has happened to me as well, where it's almost as though you are rewriting the stars. And I say that because you have completed your mission. You've embodied the purpose that your soul had focused on embodying this lifetime, and now you are in like 2.0 version, 5.0, because now you have a whole new blueprint available to you. It's like, I'm like killing 1,000 birds with one stone. And so I want you to think about your purpose always, as I said before, that it is your highest expression of self in the world. And when you remember that, you will recognize that your purpose can even be something that doesn't even bring you money, but that will always bring you joy. So, what is your purpose you feel? What were some things that you felt deeply connected to, and maybe you thought they were your purpose to fulfill, and that has changed for you? Now, if you're interested in delving into your specific soul blueprint, visit the website. There is a special there. I believe this is under the Rising Stars, but if you consider yourself already a star, already a leader, and you're like, but it's not under the space of products and services for me, that's okay. So go to the Rising Stars, you'll see the Soul Purpose Blueprint, and grab that. And we can explore your specific soul blueprint together to see, is there something specific that your soul is after? And what is it? And how might you embody it in the world so that you are connected always to your calling? Okay, I will talk to you again soon. Drop me some comments below. Let me know how this message, how this video helped you. And I will talk to you again soon in another video. Bye for now.